Hi, everybody. This is the work group device management meeting on native resources in DRA. Praveen, it's all you.
Okay, thank you. Uh, so I just added like one topic in the agenda for today. So I mostly wanted to share an update on the KEP. So there has been a bunch of discussions that have been happening on the like the document, like the draft Alpha 2 document, and also like offline discussions. So I think like one of the primary like for alpha 2, one of the key things that we had on the like that we had in scope was exploring new accounting policies to support like more use cases. One primary use case was consume from that was discussed like heavily during the first alpha, which was we wanted a way for a claim to act as a reservation. So basically like we create a claim. When a pod references the claim, the pod should draw down from what is reserved for the claim. And as like the claim itself is allocated when the first pod references the claim, and subsequent pods draw down from this already allocated claim when referenced. So that was one main use case, and the other main use case that we wanted to cover was basically for accelerator type use cases, where when a claim is referenced in a pod, like every time a container references the claim, we wanted the additional like CPU or memory capacity that is requested in the claim to be added. Like so basically currently the only accounting policy we have is when a claim is referenced, it gets accounted once. But what we wanted to explore with this is uh, every time it is referenced, we want it to be accounted like independently. So I think there was a lot of discussion that happened. Basically, for consume from, we explored a bunch of APIs, but during those discussions, like one thing that became more obvious was like the idea of like reserving a claim and consuming out of that reservation. It can be generalized to cover like more types of resources, so it need not be specific to native resources alone. So yeah, like from these discussions, like we decided to have a new KEP to explore this idea even further and generalize this concept. So basically, yeah, I think yeah, this is the issue that I opened. Let me also add it in the meeting notes. I think it's already added. So yeah, this is the issue I opened to explore that idea. So for the scope of the node allocatable resources kept, like we would not be exploring this consume from as an accounting policy. So for alpha 2, like the two key things that remain in scope is like one, the add from reference. I'm still exploring the best like API to do this. So this is in scope. And the other thing that is in scope is like the C group accounting on the node side. And for that, like there has been, I mean, we already discussed this in last week's like SIG node, and I've added like a slide deck. So I think we are close to having alignment with what we want to do on the node side, but there are still some open questions I'm still exploring. So basically, yeah, I'll these two things are in scope. I'll begin to convert this doc into like a kept PR. So if you have any more comments like on these things, like please feel free to take a look at the doc and like add the comments. So yeah, that's mostly what I wanted to share.
All right. Thank you, Praveen. So I think that's our only agenda item. So I'd like to couple of. Oh wait, is there another one? No, that's the same one.
Yeah.
So yeah, any questions? Any discussion, or you want to do it in the doc? The other thing we wanted to kind of propose was, it seems like we've made a lot of progress on this topic, and this probably we may want to stop having this separate meeting and just fold it back into the main meeting. And I wanted to know if there was any objections there.
I think that makes sense because the list of items has gone down since the initial. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we had a lot of things to discuss, and I feel like we've made a lot of conclusions. Okay, excellent. Um, well, if there's nothing else, then please take a look at those documents. I think that like we said, we split it into two caps. I don't know if we hope to make progress on the consumes from, but so much of our work is tied back to SIG scheduling, which has a very long list of things. Um, and so we'll see. Um, the this one, the alpha 2 of this, I think we'll definitely be able to get in. But on the consumes from, which is challenging in a lot of ways, we may have more trouble. But we'll see. I'd like to try at least. Francesco?
Yeah, the consumers from is not the same thing of the shared counters. I'm asking
No,
because
no,
I recall.
totally different.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, makes sense. I asking because I recalled some people from SIG scheduling mentioning in the cap that they wanted to have a more general mechanism. So
Uh,
that comes to mind. Yeah.
I think they're different things, but I better go look more closely at the shared counters and see. So the Dominic was saying in the shared counters, as I recall, that maybe this needs to move out of the DRA
Mm.
space and up into the scheduler framework.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't recall why he was saying that offhand. One of the efforts going on, the biggest effort going on there is the workload aware scheduling. And I think
Yeah.
just yesterday, um, who was it? Somebody posted an issue um, uh, about, yeah, it was, I think it was John Hune, like about um, the way workload aware scheduling is working. It's doing allocations like pod at a time. And like, so then what happens is there can be cases where if you do the pods in a certain order, you can't come to a complete scheduling. But if reason about it somehow, you can see that there is a solution to this. And so, like right now, it does it by like if you've got 10 pods to schedule, it'll do 10 independent pod scheduling cycles. And as far as I know, if it can't get to the end, it doesn't like restart or shuffle or do anything.
Mm.
Like, so there's a lot of work to do there. And we have exactly the same problem when you go down a level onto the devices. Like we currently do first fit and that's it. And like we don't do device level scoring. We don't do, um, it's first fit across that individual set of claims for that individual pod. And we don't have a way for this workload aware scheduling cycle to go, hey, try again, but skip the first fit and go to the next fit. We don't have a way for them to tell us to do that. So like there's so much work to do in this area. I see Patrick unmuted, so he's got.
Yeah, I was about to say that with once we know about the complete set of resource claims for a pod, we do backtracking, so we don't
Yes.
get stuck like the case that John discovered. But it's as you said, we don't have a way to communicate that across pod boundaries.
Right.
So if one pod A allocates something that prevents scheduling B, pod B, we don't backtrack. We are stuck because we will always do the same thing for pod A whenever we are asked to allocate.
Yeah, and if A and B are identical, it doesn't matter which order you do them in. Like it's like it has to be something a little bit smarter. Either do an exhaustive search by telling us to skip a certain number of first, fits. That would be the simplest way to do, but it's like we're getting the combinatorics are getting insane, right? So like they already were. So like what we really need is something that understands the semantics and can reason at a higher level. And nobody's, I mean, we've proposed some things. I think I've shared a document or two about like treating this as database query optimization problem, right? So you could actually, there's things you could do, but they're all a lot of work, but they're super fun. so maybe somebody will pick them up. Anyway, I'm kind of babbling. Any other topics? We can otherwise wrap it up, and we'll roll this meeting in from. We'll cancel the future instances of this meeting and roll it into the main meeting. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.